Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it's the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston with defeatyourcravings.com. And Howie, who are you?
Oh, trick question. I'm Howie Jacobson, Dr. Howie Jacobson from AskHowie.com.
Yeah, neither of us are medical doctors. Okay, so my quote of the week this week is that the water doesn't get any warmer while you're waiting to jump in. I don't know who actually said that, so I'm putting it down as anonymous. If someone knows who said that, then we can give them credit. But the water doesn't get any warmer while you're waiting to jump in. Often people know that they need to move a certain food to their never list or put some strict conditions on it to regulate it, but they can't seem to bear actually doing it. So instead, they live in a chronic state of indecision, getting ready to get ready, if you know what I mean. This is the state of addiction. We know a behavior is trouble and feel a strong desire to get rid of it, but an equal, if not stronger, desire to keep it. The problem is, while you're waiting to decide, you're still eating slop, so the craving becomes even more powerful, because when you're not actively extinguishing an addiction, you're unwittingly reinforcing it. The longer this goes on, the worse the problem becomes. Plus, while the craving gets stronger, the ambivalence becomes mentally exhausting. And this is a lethal combination which wears down your ability to resist your food monster. This is why I say ambivalence always favors the food monster. So if you're struggling with a particular food or behavior, decide what role you want that food or behavior to play in your life and codify it into a rule as fast as you possibly can. I will never have chocolate during the week, for example, during a weekday. You can always adjust the rule later on if you decide you don't like it, but don't allow your food monster to use the ambivalence against you. Decide now. It's the only way, because the water isn't getting any warmer while you're waiting to jump in. What do you think?
That is true. If you wait 6 months in Spain, it will get warmer. Clearly not what you're talking about.
Right.
What it reminds me of is a friend of mine once told me their dream, which I kind of adopted. Like, I wished I'd had that dream, so I just decided that it's mine. And in their dream, one of their mentors was standing there, and they were at the edge of a pool, dipping the toe in the water to see if they wanted to get in. And in their dream, their mentor said, the issue is not the temperature of the water. The issue is whether you want to go swimming or not.
Oh, wow.
So that's what it reminded me of when you were talking about the water's not getting warmer. Waiting for the water to get warmer is really a form of ignoring the key issue, which is, do I want to do this?
I like that perspective.
Oh, yeah, of course, I would like to have the outcomes that it would bring, right? Like, I want to eat chocolate on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but I want the physique and the health and the energy and the mood that not eating chocolate would bring me.
Because you can eat anything you want to if you're willing to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. That's a Glenn L. saying, right?
I actually got that from Doug Graham.
Okay.
But it's true. It's very true.
You can do anything you want, even if you aren't willing to deal with the consequences, because you're going to end up dealing with the consequences. Willingness is irrelevant.
There will be consequences one way or the other.
Yeah.
The piercing insight for me was that you don't have to tolerate the ambivalence, because you can create a bullseye to aim for with a very clearly defined boundary. And you present the bullseye to your food monster as if it were set in stone, the same way that you present a rule to a child as if it were set in stone. You can never cross the street without holding my hand, ever, ever, ever. But you know it's going to change later on. It's just that the child is too immature to deal with the idea that someday they're going to be a big boy or a big girl and they'll be able to do it by themselves because they could wind up darting in the street when they're 2 years old. So you tell them they can't ever cross without holding your hand. You don't allow them to have ambivalence about whether they should adopt that rule or not, just because you know that you might change it or there are other issues to consider and decide upon later on. If you get caught up in the issues, debating both sides of the issues, you'll be caught up forever. For me, the piercing insight was to end the debate. The debate itself wears you down. And for any serious food area, any trigger food, any problem behavior, I will always have a rule that defines what the healthy behavior is so that I know exactly what I'm aiming for. I don't allow the constant debate to wear me down. Does it make sense?
Yeah. By the same token, deciding, you know what, I'm not getting in the water at all. Will also free up a lot of energy.
Yes. If you say, screw it, I'm just going to eat chocolate whenever I want to, and I'll deal with the consequences, that's a perfectly valid decision in a free society, and I would fight for your right to make it. And
making it, one of the things I noticed is people are doing that, but they're not owning it. Oh, I really don't want to. I don't know what's come over me. I don't know. I keep having these cravings. I keep giving in. I keep going, blank and not remembering. And I find myself with chocolate smudge all over my hands and face. And when you don't have agency over it, it's impossible to change.
Yes.
So for someone to actively say, I'm going to eat all the chocolate I want whenever I want.
Yes.
That means they acknowledge their agency, which means if they decide to change, they have the power.
Exactly. This is why I'm in favor of eradicating passive language. If you listen in the culture, people will say, the bakery triggered me, or the pizza place triggered me. That's passive language. There's no you in there. There's just a stimulus and response. And it alleviates you of a sense of guilt or responsibility. And so it spares you that pain, but at a tremendous cost because you've given up your agency and you've given up your power to decide. I much prefer to say I was reminded of past pleasures when I passed the bakery and smelled the black and white cookie. So I chose to reverse my previous best intentions and indulge in the cookie at that time. And you could even add, and you know what, it was worth it if you want to. And screw you and the horse you rode in on if you're going to try to step on that for me. When you take agency, it makes you evaluate, is it really worth it? Do I really want to do this? I have the power. So you take a little bit of guilt and shame, a little bit of pain for having reversed your best intentions and went with the impulse as opposed to your strategic goals. But what you gain for that little bit of guilt and shame, what you can let go of once you've decided what you want to do going forward, that you've analyzed the mistake and figured out what you want to do, what you gain from that is the ability to decide and the ability to craft your life as the master of your own fate. I'm very much in favor of actively looking for passive language and eradicating it from your lexicon with food.
Yes. I want all the passive language in my life to be eradicated by me.
Well, because the opposite is the abdication of free will and responsibility, and you don't want to live like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember first hearing about the difference between things like get to and got to.
Tell me.
Well, yeah, I've got to go shopping later. I get to go shopping later.
Got it. Get it.
Get it? What movie was that? Get it? Got it? Good.
What movie is that?
That was a Danny Kaye movie. It might have been The Court Jester.
I don't know.
Get it? Got it? Good.
What movie was Badges? Badges? We don't need
no
stinking
badges. Is that Cheech and Chong?
No, I think in Cheech and Chong there was a parody on it for badgers. Like someone was offering them badgers and they went, badgers, badgers. We don't need no stinking badgers.
Now I'm Googling it. Stinking badges. Dobbs and Gold Hat from The Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, my God. Yes, I remember now. Sorry.
It was also included in Blazing Saddles, apparently.
Oh, maybe Blazing Saddles was the badgers.
All right.
It's good to give credit where credit's due.
I haven't seen Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
It's an old movie. It's a good movie.
Is there like a Netflix for good old movies?
I'm so bad at that. And honestly, I don't know why some company can't just get them all. Why do I have to have 14 subscriptions to watch what I want to watch? When you and I are running the world, things will be different.
Yes. That's active language, right?
That is active language, yes. Do you want to say anything about the water doesn't get any warmer while you're waiting to jump in?
I don't think so. I think we covered it.
I mean, it just comes down to now is all you've got. You can only ever use the present moment to be healthy. And so if you want to take the most advantages of the present moment, then you have to have a clearly defined bullseye that you're aiming for.
Yeah. You know what? I do want to say something else.
Okay.
Because one of the really beloved change models that people talk about all the time is stages of change. And I don't like it.
Can you review that for us?
Well, stages of change is that, like, if you see someone or you have this change, some people are pre-contemplation, which is they're not even thinking about it. Some people are in contemplation. Oh, gee, should I give up cigarettes? Should I start an exercise routine? Should I change my diet? Then you have preparation. Okay, so I'm going to change my diet, but I don't want to just jump in and make a mess of it. So I'm going to read and learn and study and, learn where the food is in the good aisle. And then I'm going to take action. And then there's maintenance. Clearly, there's truth to all of that as a description of a process that people might go through. But I think as a prescriptive, as a diagnostic to say, what do you do in each of those stages? I think it's very dangerous because I think there's only now, and we're only in some kind of action stage. Jumping in might not be, I'm going to completely shift my diet. I'm going to go raw tomorrow. From a meat-eating omnivore to raw vegan in one day. But that's different than I'm waiting for the water to get warmer. Like, there is a thing to do. There is an action step.
Because while you're in pre-contemplative stage or contemplative stage, it's almost like you have permission to keep binging in the meantime. You're giving yourself the permission to use the present moment to keep binging, as opposed to making a decision, adopt one simple rule. I always put my fork down between bites or something like that. One simple rule, and you can change it later, but get moving, because without healthy action in the present moment, nothing happens. Cool. This was a good talk, Mr. Howie.
I'm glad it was liked by you.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.